I've been posting videos for about 2 years now as author of Vittorio Martinelli and as Victor DeNicholas, and I had lived in Columbus, Ohio for almost 15 years, and I had known David Applebaum, a high-profile race fixer from New York, who, with Jerry Uvari, U-V-A-R-I, of the Brooklyn Teamsters, had just taken over the horse racing world after Milwaukee Casino in Iowa. They bet for several years, getting huge rebates in the vicinity of $100,000 per day. And to do that, they had to be politically involved. I had been with them when they met at Trump Marina. Don Cody, who became a racing official later and was the key denominator to setting up kickback money from Indian casinos. After I left these guys, after maybe almost 2 years, they went on a national tour of basically robbing every casino of simulcast monies, and then doing it at Eldorado Scioto Downs using John, the bookie, and getting rebates from Scioto, and also owning part of Scioto Downs. And it never stopped. And I'm the one who introduced John to these guys. They said they came to Ohio. After they had come there, Bruce Soulsby all of a sudden has a bunch of horses. The Beulah twins are murdered, Katie and Jenna. All of a sudden, all these sex orgies are everywhere. And then, a person who I had introduced him to briefly, KATHY Osborn, whose father is a heart surgeon, Chester Osborn. All of a sudden, there's all these orgies. So KATHY runs Liberty Farms, Osborn, O-S-B-O-R-N. Her father, a heart surgeon, who was also, to me, a pedophile, because I had been with him a few days, and he was always leering and making comments about young girls. And I knew personally an RN he had, several RNs, who told me, Chester Osborn, in an operating room, unless you obliged his sexual demands, you weren't going to be an RN. You weren't going to be an OR nurse. And he was the key heart surgeon in Ohio State. And he owned several houses. And when I was with him, he was aggressive towards young girls. And I never made any comment to it. But 2019, I meet with KATHY Osborn, telling her I have to leave town because I'm being basically attacked by pedophiles and gay guys that are doing orgies that I know of. I know for sure. I've contacted Monica Day. I contacted the police. I contacted the FBI. And with all that being done, it had to be, because now that Cheryl Testaguzza Cook, I believe, is murdered, that Chester Osborn, being such a heavy contributor to the Republican Party, that Chester Osborn, being an influencer, few things. One is, Liberty Farms was involved in the sex orgies with horses because KATHY Osborn, who was head of the OSU equestrian team, all of a sudden moves to New York, where I know Governor Cuomo gets attacked by a whole onslaught of sexual offers. And I know Steve Gold, who knows Abe Basin and Howard Taylor, had a huge slot of land near Woodstock, and so did KATHY Osborn. They had to make a sex farm in New York because Micah Osborn, KATHY's daughter, who I had trained from the time she was 10 and made her a better rider, as her grandmother Elizabeth Osborn could tell you, was an arrogant little bitch. And I had come to know that she became a lesbian and was heavily sexually involved with Mexicans on the farm, where Kathy would let her spend the night, and she was only like 10 years old. And I even mentioned it to Kathy. So Kathy Osborn, Chester Osborn, Ohio State, Urban Meyer, New York, Davey Applebaum, Jonathan Applebaum, the Republican Party set up Como, and this is all. They think it's funny. They have sonar, and they know how to place metal in your body to make an antenna. And Dr. Troiano, a surgeon who had done a lot of work on Monica Day, made Monica Day a sex puppet, a media puppet, and a sex whore. They're all orgy masters in Ohio. And I also trained Alana Maymine, the theology professor. And I know as fact, Ohio State is an orgy cult, and they're pedophile sick. They've caused this COVID-19 to harbor all the death. So it looks like people are dying from COVID-19, but they're really dying from heroin overdoses, sex orgies, and horse sex. And Virgil Morgan Jr., harness driver, is highly involved. Brett Miller Jr., highly involved with Howard Taylor. Officer Mike Fout, F-O-U-T, of Obitz, his house is a heroin den. It's absolutely sick. They're covering every aspect of breaking crime, and they don't leave me alone. And they have a team of blacks, lowlife, Justin Kershaw, Brian K. Hess of Tattletale Alarm is a pedophile. He's using his equipment, and they're altering people through the country to hide all the sex orgy deaths. I know it is fact. I can provide testimony of people that I trained that have disappeared. I have emails, I have forensics, and yet I keep being attacked, and Mr. Trump's not even the president anymore. And Mr. Trump, you're a sick individual. These guys are scumbags, and you're in muddy water.